Hey guys, this is Justin back with an engineer's perspective, and I wanted to do an initial impressions style video on these combo pliers here. This is the Knipex forged wire strippers, model 1372-8. So they've got the comfort grip handles, as you can see. These are fairly new to the market, and I think very well received and popular strippers. And I resisted for a while picking them up because they are pretty expensive, 50 bucks or so. But I finally broke down. I just had to get a pair because I love Knipex and I do a lot of electrical work right now at the house. So like I said, this is initial impressions. I've used them for 10 or so outlets and a couple of light switches, mostly using like Wagos, twisted a few pairs of or 3 pairs of wire with a wire nut. So that's kind of the little bit of use I've got on it, but I just wanted to kind of highlight a few things and just kind of mention my thoughts on just combo tools in general. So, I've got a traditional pair of Linesman's here. These are 240 millimeters, and I've got the Milwaukee combo tool here. I've taken out the spring, as you can see. It's kind of like a comparison. So love the Linesman pliers, no issues with them. They're freaking awesome. The only thing is it's just kind of nice in terms of weight savings and then not having to put down tools and pick them up, having the strippers in them. So that's what brought me to the Milwaukees next. The problem I have with the Milwaukees though is let's just look at the leverage difference. So we've got a high leverage pivot here on the Knipex, and if you line them up, you see you get way more leverage on the handle side. And the major problem I have personally is this right here, is for twisting wire, the actual grabbing end is just so far away from the pivot. It's really hard to get a really good twist with these combo style pliers, in my opinion. And not to mention on the Milwaukees that the teeth are not that sharp and just not perfect, so they weren't quite cutting it for me, and that's why I tried to hold off on these, because I look at these and I say the handles are too short, the jaws are too far away, so that's why I held off for a long time. But now that I've switched over to the Wagos, I'm not doing as many twisted pairs. Especially, there's some really big ones I was doing with these guys, like four wires, maybe even 5, where you kind of get like a junction box or some weird goofy stuff going on. You've got just a crap load of wires. So I'm not doing that very often, and I almost always try to convert over to the Wago when I get into that situation. I'll still twist pairs of like 2 or 3, and that has been going pretty good the few I've done with this. So what I'll highlight is although these handles are shorter than your traditional Linesmans and even these Milwaukees, is if you back off on them, the teeth do grip pretty good, and these could definitely be quite a bit wider in my opinion for my own taste, but you can still do some decent little twisting with it, nothing major. So I wanted to mention that it's not great leverage, but it has been good enough for those small tasks. On to things that I really, really like about these things though, is first off, these are the first ones I've had with these kind of like indexing bumps here. So I know that to the right of this one is my 12 and to the left is my 14 solid, and that's mostly what I'm working with at home, and it's just so fast, whereas before I had to search a little bit on these or traditional wire strippers, but it's so much faster just to get right in there. So I love those little index things. These cutters here, they cut great. They're not like the high leverage that you get out of these linemen's here, or even like the high leverage needle nose I have. Those are better cutters than these, but good cutters. And what I really like is this kind of goofy little jump here that they kind of do, that they stick out. If you are one of the people that likes to strip Romex with your pliers, there's always kind of like a dip in the middle, and I find that this little protrusion really helps to get into that dip. So there's not that empty space. So I don't usually use these, but if I do, you can just get around it and kind of dig that little protrusion into the middle to get it, and then I kind of snap it each way and pull off the sheathing. So I don't know if that's what it's for, but it really makes it a lot nicer if you want to strip your Romex using your pliers. Like that. What I don't like is that, so these are actually double sprung. So you can see they spring out that way, but also this way. And I mean, I guess I like that it's double sprung. Just what I don't like is because of that protrusion, like I almost always end up having to push them open to get anything in there, especially Romex. You end up having to push them. Kind of annoying. You know, I'm just used to like just stick it in there and cut it. Whereas you can't really do that here on the Milwaukees. Yeah, I mean, you just set it in there. So kind of annoying. Definitely better cutters than the Milwaukees, though, I'll say that much. So a little bit annoying, but I still like it. Still like the cutters. You know, they do a good job. Next, let's look at the actual plier head. I have not grabbed anything with the big section, but this little section here, this front end, is kind of slick. So there's kind of a few different areas. So there's this front area, and then after your loop notch here, this area is a little bit different, because in the front here, they match up, and then after the notch, they're offset. So you get a different kind of grip. And if you can see in there, this first tooth, so to speak, after that bending notch is kind of protrudes and is bigger than the rest. So what I like about it is if you see this 12 gauge wire, and when it's been manhandled by the linesman or even the end of these things, kind of see, they get kind of marred up and everything. But if you don't want to do that, or even like on like sheathing, if you don't want to mar them up so bad, you can actually grab with just that back part, and it'll only touch back there. Obviously, just have to be a longer piece of copper. There you go. So it actually only touches in that one point, so you don't get all of that marring. You see that? See how I grabbed it? But there's only lines in the back, so it kind of stands those front ones off. And if you line it up just right, then you don't mark up your wires so much. Your conductors don't get all beat up. I actually really like that feature, how there's kind of this back gripping section you can decide what to do with. One other thing I wanted to mention too is on any good pair of linemen's, they've got the cross hatch pattern on here. That's got some good grip to it. And I find it's hard to twist, not hard, but not ideal to twist when there's just the kind of parallel pattern. I don't know if you can see this, but Knipex has actually put in little cuts that are at a 45-ish, maybe a 60-degree angle to the parallel kind of texturing. And those help quite a bit so that the conductors don't slip this direction inside of there. So it's not as aggressive as the full cross checkering, but it definitely helps. So I think it's a pretty good middle. And I really like how well thought out this, 3, maybe ½ inch of plier was. That I just adore that. It's just awesome. So I really like this front end on here. That's really winning me over. Comfort grip, comfortable. Stripping, this is a 12. Stripping has been pretty good. I kind of give it one of those and then let her rip. The loop bending, I tend to like having short ones. That's probably, it's short for a Wago. It's probably perfect before. And we're back. Sorry, I had to step away for a second. I don't remember what I was doing, but I'll just go on. Really like the front section. I like the indexing for the stripping. It's very quick. The strippers are good. I like this little bump out here for Romex if you're interested in that, although it does make it a little bit annoying because you have to open it up. Yeah, the lock is positive too, so it's a good lock. You can actuate it from both sides, as you can see, so whatever floats your boat. Oh yeah, I haven't used the screw cutters, but you don't have to thread, and they cut clean is what people say, so cool. That's really convenient. I've used it a few times on the Milwaukees as a pain in the butt, so do like that. The loop bender on here, I like. I tend to like to leave the ends that I'm looping over pretty long, so it's easy, I find, when you've got something very large like this, because you can kind of learn the depth you like to do your bends at. So if you like to do it at half depth or full or with a teeny bit sticking out, I don't know, kind of a good measuring device. But yeah, those are kind of my initial impressions, and I wanted to highlight those few features that I haven't, especially with the front jaw there, that I haven't really seen people talk about. And yeah, I don't, the Milwaukees didn't do it for me. I ended up going back to the Linesman. We'll see if these do kick out the Linesman, especially in conjunction with the Wago lever nuts. So it'll be interesting. Really enjoying them so far. Got lots of use yet to put on them. So yeah, that's all I've got today. Have a good one. Bye.